Hello, indie authors. Valerie Ihsan here. It is season 2 of the podcast, the Indie Author Mentor Show, and we are on episode 27. And today it is September 28th, 2019, as I record this. Today, the main topic is how to get back on track. And my only hint is going to be that it's not beating yourself up. That's not the way to get back on track. So, a personal update segment first. I am reading Kenyon's book, At the Table of Wolves. This is the first book in a series. And I bought her second book before the first book, actually. I met Kay at a writing conference, and she didn't have the first book with her, so I bought the second one, which she autographed for me. But I wanted to read the first one before the second one, obviously. So I ordered it from my local bookstore, and I have, I'm only not even a quarter of the way in. So just started it yesterday. So that's what I'm reading for fiction. I'm still reading Jeff Goins' book, Real Artists Don't Starve, for the nonfiction. And also last night I started reading a travel memoir called Kingdom by the Sea, or Kingdom of the Sea, or Kingdom on the Sea. One of those, by Paul Theroux. And my husband and I, when we first started seeing each other, we had a ritual where we would read to each other and rub each other's feet. And it was a great tradition. And through the years, we've kept it up and fallen off and started new books. And sometimes it's hard to read novels together because, I want to hurry up and get through it. I don't want to read it slowly in little increments, or I'm too tired and he's reading and I'm falling asleep while he's reading, so I don't understand what's going on, or, something like that. So reading novels is difficult. Nonfiction is better, but often we don't have the same interest in essays or short stories. So it does become difficult to find a book that we're both interested in. So we read the first chapter of Kingdom by the Sea, or Kingdom on the Sea, and are enjoying it thus far. So I'm in the middle of reading many books right now. This week, today, I'm recording this early. It's a Monday because tomorrow we're getting out-of-state guests that'll be with us for a couple of days, leaving Thursday morning. And then Friday, my husband and I are going to go to visit my dad and his family in Albany for a long weekend visit, which we haven't done for a while. And I try to see him once a month. He lives in a different city, not too far away, but far enough that it's hard to get there frequently. So we try to go once a month, and we didn't get there last month. So we're going to spend a few extra days with him this month, and that's going to be nice. I picked my monthly game changer / focus for the month of October over the weekend. And so this kind of piggybacks on the episode I did on monthly reflections. So as part of the Passion Planner, and part of my monthly reflection is picking the next thing that I'm going to focus on for the upcoming month. So what I decided to focus on was preparing for the 20 Books to 50K conference that is in mid-November. So that gives me about 5 weeks, I think. Yeah. I have about 5 weeks to prepare and get ready. And I've got a fair amount of work to do before then, because what I wanted to prepare was to get this coaching program live so that when I'm at the conference networking with other authors, I can have a place to direct them, a landing page, business cards, So I wanted to be really prepared with that elevator speech, all of that, so that when I'm talking and networking with other writers, I can direct them to the place I want them to go. So I broke down all the steps that I have to do before going live and being at the conference. I assigned them specific weeks between now and the conference. And so this week's tasks are to create the lead magnet, or today, this afternoon, I have set aside time to just think about it, and brainstorm. And I have 2 ideas. One I like more than the other, but I want to brainstorm. I want to spend some more time on it and see if I can come up with a couple of other ideas. I don't want to just go with the first idea I come up with. And then, create it throughout the rest of the week. But I have limited time this week because of the travel and the guests. So Thursday is kind of the day that I've set aside time to create this lead magnet. And lead magnet, for those that don't recognize that phrase, as an author, you might call it a reader magnet. Somebody else in marketing might call it a pink spoon. It's those little tasters that are free that allow a person to kind of test you out before they invest in your product or service. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping to accomplish by this week. So lots for me to do, and I will definitely keep you posted on that. And if you too are interested in doing some goal planning and focused strategic planning for your months, and you want to try out the Passion Planner, which is the planner that I use, again, that link to get a 10% discount off I put it in the show notes because it's a weird link, but it's rwrd.io/OX4T691. I know if you're driving, you're not going to remember that at all. I wish I could bit.ly link that or something, but it's kind of like an affiliate link, but it's not really affiliate. I'll get a commission, but you also get a discount, which doesn't normally happen for affiliate links. So it's kind of a win-win situation. So if you want to try it out, then you can get the discount at that link. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Also, I'm still happy to do a free 30-minute consultation interview where I can ask about your challenges as a writer, and we can talk a little bit about how planning or goal setting or coaching or accountability or whatever it is that you think would help, how it would work. Kind of like I won't say it's a mini coaching session because there's not enough time to do actual coaching, but I really would like to talk to more authors and find out where they are struggling so that I can be a better coach when the program goes live. So that would be a free call, and if I'd be really honored if you helped me out with that. So you can go to indieauthormentor.as.me to schedule that call. I take calls on Tuesdays. If Tuesday is just not a day that can work for you at all, then email me, let me know, and I'll see if I can squeeze in a Thursday or a Friday. I take other clients on those days, so maybe I can squeeze you in on one of those days. Okay, let's see. Update is done. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters for the podcast. I really appreciate your support, and I'd like to hear from you too. So if you want to put a comment on any of the posts that I put on Patreon, or you can download the Patreon app, that's free, and that might make it even easier for you to communicate with me. And if you leave a question or a comment, I'd be happy to answer it or read it out on the podcast. Or, if it's a private question, then I won't. let me know if you don't want me to read it out on the podcast. But I really would like to hear from you. And if you have any suggestions about topics for the show, I really dig that. So please reach out through Patreon, patreon.com/Valerie Ihsan, Ihsan. And you don't have to be a patron in order to leave me a message on Patreon. Or you can just, again, leave a message in the comments below on your podcast catcher of choice, or on the Patreon show notes, or in YouTube if you were there. Okay, I'd like to remind everybody else that's not a Patreon subscriber that I do have this show sponsored by my patrons. So if you want to kick in as low as $1 a month, then you can get a shout out on the podcast. You can get the free monthly video, connections video that I send out. And then if you go at higher tiers, there's free books and free editing and free coaching. So check me out, patreon.com/Valerie Ihsan, Ihsan. Resources. If you are a memoir writer, I highly recommend, and I've said this before, so this won't be new, but Rachael Herron's book, Fast Draft Your Memoir, is my go-to recommendation for memoir writers. It's a great book, even if you're not a memoir writer and you just want some structural help on how to, structure a narrative arc, then that book is also good, whether you're writing memoir or fiction. And in addition, Rachael was interviewed on Ella Barnard's podcast, Author Like a Boss, just this last week. It's episode 67, titled How to Write and Market Your Memoir with Rachael Herron. There's a lot of great tips in there. So if you're more of a listen to a podcast person as opposed to buy the book, then go there. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to get back on track. So it seemed to me like a repeat of other mindset topics that we covered, but I checked through the podcast and I didn't see this. So I guess it seemed like I had talked about it before because I talk to myself about it all the time. So I thought, well, it must be important if, it comes up in my mindset thought process a lot. So maybe it would be helpful to you if I brought it up here. So I fall off the track with many things, pretty much daily. I don't go to sleep when I should at night. I struggle with weight loss, going to the gym, doing my just regular housekeeping, writing new words on my manuscript, keeping up to date with my email inbox, and listening to my podcast subscriptions. These are all things that I fall off the wagon on sometimes and fall off the track. And this is why I know how to get back on track, because I'm constantly falling off of it. So when I was prepping for this podcast episode, I was reminded of meditation and what Rachael Herron says about meditation. So Rachael says the practice of meditating, well, the part where you start drifting, so you're sitting down to meditate and your mind drifts off, and the actual act of reeling your mind back in and going, oh yes, I'm meditating, and refocusing on what it is that you set out to do, that is the act and the practice of meditation, that pulling back and refocusing and recentering. That's meditation. So doing, it works with anything else. So if I gain back the 3 pounds I lost last week because I keep forgetting to track my food on the app, I'm going to recommit to myself remind myself that the only way to keep losing weight is to be mindful of what I'm eating, and the way to do that is by tracking the food that I'm eating. Maybe I'll set an alarm so that I remember to do the tracking. And that sounds like such an easy, quick fix, and to be frank, probably that won't work for me. I'll set the alarm anyway, just as a reminder, but maybe that will help me track my food like 4 days a week instead of the 1.5 that I do now, which would be a great improvement. So again, it's all about recommitting and pulling my mind back and my body back to what it is that I want to focus on. So some practical tips on whatever it is that you're struggling on staying on track for. Here are some practical tips for getting back on track. So one of them is super simple. It's just trying again. It's just that centering again, grounding again, committing again. Because, sometimes we just lose our focus and we get distracted. Oh, yeah, that's right. Lots of times, I know this doesn't have anything to do with writing, but lots of times throughout the years, I will have told myself, okay, I'm not going to be eating sugar, or I'm not going to eat bread, or whatever it is. And I totally forget, legit forget. And I just pop it in my mouth and I'm chewing and I think, oh my God, I forgot. And I'll spit it out. And I can't beat myself up about that. I just forgot. So I refocus, recenter, recommit, and I try again. And so that's, for me, that's the number one. It's like hitting a rewind button. Oop, obviously you can't rewind time and pretend that didn't happen, but sometimes I can certainly pretend it didn't happen. I can't rewind it to make it not happen, but I can pretend that I didn't drink those 3 glasses of wine and just recenter and start over and set my alarm and track my food, and maybe I'll lose those 3 pounds again. So number 1, trying again. Number 2 is to make a new plan. So I think I shared this a couple weeks ago on the podcast that I had a fancy new life curveball that's just been thrown my way, and that is my son quite probably moving back in with us. So we have to actually do some remodeling in our house, some small construction projects in order to make it a place where he could live and for us to live all comfortably together. So that is going to take a big chunk of my writing time away, and I have to just make a new plan. I can't do the plan I had before for production. I have to scrap that and make a new plan that includes the time I'm spending on, remodeling the house. It's not going to be a huge remodel, but I do have to create a new wall and a new door in another part of the house and move all of the things that are in that part of the house to a different part of the house. So it's going to take some finagling and some shopping and some construction workers and etc. So that's definitely going to affect my writing production for the month of, well, now probably November. So, yeah. If you've got a new schedule you can make, quite possibly there will be new systems that you'll want to create in order to ride this curveball out. So examine the schedule you've got now or the plan and find the holes in it, brainstorm, and patch up those holes and start with plan B. And it really, really doesn't matter if what you end up working on is plan M, because B through M didn't work, and now you're on the next plan. So it doesn't really matter how many plans you go through in order to finish a task, because life throws curveballs and you have to go with the flow and just make a new plan. Otherwise, you're going to be super frustrated at trying to squish yourself into the old plan that's just not going to work because, this new thing has happened. Maybe you're sick, or maybe a family member has died, or maybe you got transferred and you have a new job or whatever. Like, just stuff happens, and you have to be able to fix it by changing your plan around. Okay, number 3, let go of something. Often I lose focus because I've just got too much on my plate. For instance, there was an opportunity for a free online conference that I was excited about, and I blocked it off on my calendar, and I let go of as many obligations as I could, and was planning on sort of like just letting go of everything else and going to this online 3-day conference. And as I got closer and closer to it, I just felt so overwhelmed at the other things in my life that I said no. I didn't attend the conference. I couldn't. Same thing with free webinar replays I get emailed to me, newsletters I want to read that I've subscribed to that I get frequently, YouTube video subscriptions, podcast subscriptions. They start piling up and I feel overwhelmed, and then I start losing focus on the things that I'm really trying to get accomplished, and big projects that I'm trying to whittle down and finish. And these newsletters and webinar replays and special offers and, all those things that come in, I have to let go of something. I can't not do it all. I really can't. And I grew up believing that I could for about 20 years. I was so mad at myself because I couldn't seem to get it together enough to make it all work. And then I realized, oh, well, that's because I can't do it all. It's physically impossible. So, number 3, let go of something. Number 4, remember to say no. So this is kind of like a subset of number 3, actually. So number 3 was to let go of something. So if you've got something in your schedule that you can let go of, awesome. Or if you've got a pile of newsletters that you haven't read, delete them all. Just let go of it. Don't even worry about it anymore. But remembering to say no for number 4, that's more of a reminder to myself to stay focused. So I do get a lot of email from other author specialists that have programs and offers and just awesome specials that I really would love to take advantage of. And they really sound perfect for me. But what I really force myself to do is to ask myself if doing this thing, reading this, whatever, taking this course, buying this thing, is this going to get me closer to finishing my current project, whatever that is, writing my book, editing my book, whatever. And if the answer is no, I delete it, even if it's perfect for me. And it used to be really hard because I'd panic, like, am I ever going to find this offer again, or, whatever. But if I can't fit it into my world right now, I can't use it right now. So there's really no point in buying the thing that you can't use. That's kind of ridiculous. So I just remember to say no. Number 4, say no. And number 5, last one, is self-care. And I know that sounds ubiquitous, but when I acknowledge that I'm off track, inevitably I'm disappointed in myself. I'm embarrassed. Maybe there's a little shame happening. And so when that happens and I feel bad about myself, then I need to do a little bit of nurturing and And whatever that feels like to me, maybe it's sitting in the hot tub with a glass of wine and a novel, or maybe it's going to get a pedicure, or maybe it's going to the gym, or maybe it's taking a walk in nature, or maybe it's calling a friend. Whatever it is, I need to do a little bit of self-nurturing so that I can get back into gear and get back on track. So acknowledging that I am off track, acknowledging the disappointment in myself, and then nurturing myself a little bit, and then getting back to work. It kind of has to go in that order for me anyway. So just to recap, number 1, to get back on track, just try again. Number 2, make a new plan if you need one. Number 3, let go of something. Maybe you're off track because there's just not enough time in your day to do all the things that you have said that you're going to do. So let go of something. And number 4, remember to say no. Don't put stuff on your list if you just don't have time for it. If you can't use it right now, just say no. And number 5, self-care. So at the end of this, I was going to say originally that those 5 tips were not designed to be to aid someone that had chronic illness or depression, that maybe these tips wouldn't be for someone faced with that. But I went back through the list to see which one wouldn't really apply, and actually all of them apply. So even if you are suffering from depression or other chronic illnesses, these are the same exact things that you would do, though the self-care would likely include, counseling or medications based on your chronic illness. But I think that maybe you might just go through the list more frequently. So trying again, making a new plan, letting go of something, remembering to say no for your health. You have to say no sometimes, and, some extensive self-care. So I think I will end the podcast here. If you have other tips on how to get back on track when you lose focus and just fall off the horse, then I would love to hear them. And I hope that we can start a conversation where we help each other out. And I hope that this season on mindset has been helpful for you. And the more ideas I get from you and from my own life about mindset shifts that can help an author in their life, I will continue to do this season of mindset shifting topics. So yeah, it was great to see you, and I will see you next week. Be well, happy writing, happy publishing.